And we are live with the one and only Caolan Martin, of course. For a lot of you who are probably watching or listening, he doesn't probably need much introduction because, of course, he's on the streams quite a bit. But I guess for those who are don't know who you are, Caolan, if you want to quickly introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. My name's Caolan Martin. I've on Big Bone now for about 6 months, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Along with Graham. And yeah, I just got into iRacing October 2018, and yeah, loving it so far. So glad to be on the podcast, Jack, as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had
definitely.
some very, very distinguished guests on, so hopefully I can add my name to that list.
Oh, definitely, man. I mean, we've had of all the guests so far, we've had what is it? There's only been five. It was Matt, Graham, David, Shieldhouse, of course,
Eric.
Yep, Metal Addict, and then Andrew Streetley, the E-Team Brit engineer. I think those are the five. So you'll definitely be a perfect addition to that list. Yeah, appreciate you stopping by. Crazy stuff, of course. Last night, we ran the Nürburgring VLN, and then today, I don't know. Did you watch any of the race today?
No, I didn't watch stuff. I watched. No, I only just seen the Twitter updates, but
Twitter updates.
Yeah.
Oh, it
I know
was
who
so
won.
good.
So
yeah, it was so good. I definitely think it was better than last week's personally, and I think it's cool that the casters, Mike Joy and Jeff Gordon, they seem to really be, I don't know, really starting to get used to it, be more comfortable explaining stuff, and they finally called it a fast repair this time.
Did they?
Yeah, it was like bothering me so much. They're like resets or something like that. It's like no, they're fast repairs. But I mean, I totally understand it, of course. But yeah, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best things that happened in sim racing. Well, even from like 10 years, let's say. And the way I can see a difference is that, like, I follow NASCAR on Facebook on the Facebook page, and what you get to see is a lot of people. Obviously, the age it could range up to, like, from teens to 60s, wherever on that page, but mostly it's guys in 40s, 50s.
Yeah, the boomer generation.
They know that they're back in the day, 80s, 90s, Dale Earnhardt and all that stuff. So when they see when NASCAR will start posting, the Coca-Cola series, maybe just one or two posts during the season, last season even. These guys, what are you showing this for? And
yeah, I know.
It's only a game and that. So, I mean, like half and half the comments were like that. Now with these races going on, I think it's like 90% of people are being like more responsive, more like in with it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, do they have a choice because there is no racing on TV? So this is the only racing you're going to get to see for a while. So why not just go with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was really. I remember what you were saying when they first, when it was like, of course, the Peak series, and I think it was last season. Was it only the final race? Or I remember they had one race broadcasted on TV. I don't know if it was like the final race or if it was just one of the races.
I think it might have been the final race. Yeah, I think
final race.
Yeah,
I just remember like on YouTube because they uploaded it to their YouTube channel, and just, I mean, there were so many people who were just bashing it, saying, what is this joke? Oh, this is ridiculous. Stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of those people, like you were saying, are now coming around. And it's like, well, you have no other choice. It's like, if either watch this and enjoy it, or just don't even comment, because obviously NASCAR's trying their best to provide content, and I think this is literally is like the best job you could possibly do besides real life racing. So,
and there's like other people who are saying, just give me a steering wheel and a PC and I'll kick their ass.
Yeah, that's yes.
I'm pretty sure now they're seeing, like, Dale Earnhardt Jr. on, Denny Hamlin, and then they can see how hard it is to drive the car, like in the simulator. They're like, oh shit, maybe
yeah,
that's not gonna. I won't be able to win all the races, but but overall, I think it's fantastic. And the problem I see now, I hope it doesn't oversaturate it. So I don't want one every week. I don't think it should be one every week. Maybe like one every 3 weeks, or I don't know, because it's some of it might be a fad and might slowly drift away, and you don't want that to happen. So
Definitely.
yeah, I think I know they're trying to follow the schedule of the NASCAR season, but maybe I would like to see a road course like straight away. Like get Sonoma in. Why not? Like why
Yeah,
not race
throw
right
it
now?
in there. I mean, they
Yeah.
did Watkins Glen for the IndyCar series. Get the
Yeah.
Watkins Glen, or even, oh man, I mean, I don't, I know the Xfinity, I think, go to Road America, right? Get,
Yeah.
yeah, get
No,
like, that'd be sick.
yeah, they got Road America, and they have this year they're going to bring the Indy layout. That was going to be an
Oh, that's right.
they were supposed to race that as well. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, I think that'd be sick. Or like the Roval, get them on the Roval or something, like I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff I want to see. I would love to see. I think what would be really cool is to see, yeah, like NASCAR stuff doing like, like the Charlotte 600 or something, a big race, proper distance. I'd like to see, like the Brickyard 400, at a track like that, or like Talladega pack racing, because
Yeah.
we have just something along those lines. I think that would be really cool. Or road courses, absolutely. And then in other categories of racing, I think I thought it would be really cool if they had like 24 hours at Le Mans and got real drivers, real teams swapping the drivers and stuff. And I think that would be cool to have that there as well. But that'd be difficult.
Yeah, it would be difficult for him, but maybe it's possible. Maybe it's possible.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, no, I think because like their first race in like Atlanta and now Texas, they're kind of similar tracks, so maybe something to spice it up again.
Yeah.
Like I said, it doesn't have to follow the schedule, so like a road course or a Talladega or a Daytona kind of super speedway.
Yeah, I do think though Bristol's gonna be pretty sick to watch next week.
That would be
That's gonna be a good one.
Maybe after Bristol, then you can
exactly. Like let's just do Bristol and then let's move on, because I agree Bristol's gonna be sick. I can't imagine, man. There's gonna be so many crashes like at freaking Bristol.
And what I find with races where the very short tracks, it produces a better production because the cars are almost in one screen. There isn't going to be a massive gap between everybody, because we found that in my league with the podium that I was entering, that we did, the NASCAR A class, the proper monster truck or monster class cars, and we were going to tracks, the F1 tracks, so Suzuka and all the other tracks like Montreal and stuff. And after like a couple of laps, this field is so spread out that you lose interest. Like the people watching it will probably lose interest because you're seeing like one car in the frame, not really many battles happening. So just to be wary about that. But for Bristol, I mean, it's a 15-second lap or whatever. That's going to be insane.
Oh man, they call it what's the nickname for Bristol? It's like the
the last great Coliseum.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. Last great Coliseum. Yeah, that stadium, or not, I mean, kind of is a stadium, I guess. Just the way it is, it's just like a bowl, and I'm sure it's so loud there. Oh man.
I think do you know Eric Etstep? He's on YouTube. He's like he's got like 100K followers. He does like NASCAR.
I think so. That sounds familiar. That name.
Reviews.
Yeah.
I think he went to Bristol last year. I think it was Bristol, and then when he got to like the parking lot, and then you got the vendors with the merchandise and stuff like that, and then he just turns the camera, and all you see is this fucking bowl, like with the stand, and it's just
super tall,
unbelievable,
and stuff, like a proper Coliseum.
Yeah, and it's just there's maybe a wooden structure as well, so it's got that old classic style to it as well, but it's just incredible looking. So, I say back in the day, the crowds being that a lot of crowds in there would have been great. So hopefully they can get more crowds in, but.
Definitely.
Obviously, can't right now. Only iRacing can do that.
Yeah, only iRacing can produce the full crowds. Well, I'm pretty sure, because I know that they race at Bristol twice. The day race, I'm pretty sure, is pretty lackluster in terms of crowds. But I think the night race, does that still? I think that's still.
I think they do, but I think last year they had. I think they blocked off like some of the, so it looks fuller than it is.
I think that's so funny. Like when they.
Well, I mean,
like, it makes sense though.
I've seen others like soccer stadiums do that before, where they this is gonna sound ridiculous, but they put like cardboard cutouts of people in this stadium. So it looks so it looks fuller from the distance in the TV. It looks fuller than what it is. So yeah,
Oh my gosh, that kind of reminds me of Daytona because I think Daytona has like the seats that are different colors like randomly, and I
yeah,
think that
yeah.
I'm sure a lot of that has to do with just to make it look like those are
The perspective of looking. Yeah,
yeah
yeah.
different like more people in the stands. I remember going to the WEC race in Austin, and we could only sit on the front stretch and turn one. That was it. You could not sit anywhere else.
Mm.
And obviously the front stretch was really packed, but that's because that's the only stands they wanted to show, make it look like it's a full race, but
Yeah, yeah.
nothing else was open. But yeah, I think, have you ever been to a NASCAR race?
Not a NASCAR one. I was trying. I wanted to go to either Vegas or Sonoma because that's the closest one to me from
Uh-huh.
Vancouver. So, and I was trying. And I know somebody in Vegas as well, so it would have been nice just to hang out and then go to a race there as well. But obviously with this virus stuff happening, we couldn't do it. So it's either going to be in March like this month, or I think the other Vegas race is in September. I think it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to go to one. Yeah, in Sonoma in the summer. That'd be
Oh,
cool.
it's awesome. Yeah, like, oh man, that'd be sick. You've been to have you been to any like road races though? Like I don't know, just like a maybe IMSA F1. Yeah,
Oh
you've been to
yeah,
F1. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I've been to F1. Yeah, yeah. I went to Monza in 2009,
Oh my,
Spa 2011, and then I went to Montreal in 2017. So
oh my
yeah,
goodness. That
yeah,
I
it was
can't imagine. What was the experience at Monza and Spa specifically?
well, for Monza, we decided really, really late to go because it was the week before was the Hungarian Grand Prix, and that's where Massa had his accident with the
With the
with
spring?
the spring. Yeah,
Yeah.
so Schumacher was going to come back to race, and I never got to see him in his first career, and I always wanted to see him. He's my hero of mine. So this is my chance. So I was talking to brother and sister because they like a bit of racing as well, and they kind of fancied a trip to Italy. It'd be nice because
Yeah, of
it's
course.
on. So we're like, if you want, just go for the day, whatever, or go for the weekend and get the race in. They're like, yeah. So I looked for tickets and I got some, and so we flew on the same day as the race, and in the morning, we had to get the train out there. We got the last train as well, so because our flight was delayed, it was a big, time scramble. And when you reach the Monza, the second Lesmo or the Lesmos, like the two Lesmos,
Yep.
the train station like pulls in behind those trees.
Really?
So yeah, so when you get into the train station, that's where you start from. So you have to walk all the way around because it's a park. A park anyway. Like Monza itself. So what we have to do is you have to go all the way around
What?
to
The
the
front
main
stretch.
gate, right? Because that's where our tickets were. Because we didn't have our tickets on our. We had our tickets to. Uh, sorry, like we didn't have our tickets on us. We had to go to the gate to get our tickets to enter.
Yep.
And again, because we had the last train, it meant like the gate was going to close because the race was going to start. So we're going through, we're looking at a time, and then we're kind of saying, shit, it's getting a bit close now to the gates to close. So myself and my brother-in-law like fully sprinted through the trees, to reach there, and then we definitely got there, and I remember like one of the guys, like the stewards or the guy working there, and then he was like he was like high energy, and he's like, come on, here's your tickets in, get in, because
Yeah,
they're trying
yeah,
to shoot the
yeah.
gate and stuff. And so we got there, yeah, and then the warm up lap, and then we got towards. We was like, oh, let's just pick a spot because we had general admission, so we can go anywhere we wanted, like any part of the track.
Yeah.
So because we had to go all the way around to the main gate. So the main gate is where the main stand is. So we went. I think there's a tunnel, I think it was a tunnel underneath that we could go to there. Can't remember. It's been 11 years, but we end up at Parabolica. So Parabolica, I mean, just leading onto the pitch straight. That's where we were standing, and we're standing, jam packed, unbelievable. And then the cars coming around, like warming their tires up. And then I had a camera and I recorded it. And then because I'm taller than a lot of people around there, I just put my hand up and I just kind of recorded
Yeah.
from there. And it was in the chaos. Like there was like two girls where like they had like a picnic set up or something, like right there, like right in the middle of the
Yeah.
place.
So like
They had their,
everyone. Yeah.
yeah, so they had their own little spots so no one could touch, and so I'm standing all over it, trying to get my
Yeah. Screw
shot.
their picnic, man. Stuff
It's
all over
like
their
yeah,
food.
and they're like in the camera you can see like I kind of look down and they're like kind of like, tell me to back off, whatever. I'm like, like, what the hell?
Yeah,
What the
it's
hell
an
are you
F1
putting,
race. Like, what do you
I know.
expect from everyone?
What are you putting a blanket down in front of like 80,000 people for?
Yeah.
Trying to get
yeah, like
what's
what are
gonna
you
happen?
doing? You're not gonna see
So
anything.
yeah, so we watched the start from there, and that was the first time I got even a V8 engine. Like that was the first time I like heard, and honestly, you can just feel it through the ground up into your chest.
Oh,
Such an amazing feeling with that. And so we watched the race from Parabolica on the wooden steps, and unfortunately we didn't get to. I really wanted to see the old Monza kind of the banking, but we didn't have time. And I did get on the track after the Grand Prix, and I took like a stone, like a gravel from the Parabolic itself, so I kept that as a souvenir. And then
oh, that's awesome.
went to the finish line. The podium just ended, and yeah, I got a picture where like me lying down on the finish line. That's pretty good.
That's awesome. Who won that race?
Barrichello was the last Braun GP win ever, and Barrichello's last win. So
really,
yeah. And then Hamilton crashed the last lap. This first Lesmo, he lost it and hit the barrier. So I believe one of the Ferraris got onto the podium because the 2009 Ferrari was really dog shit. And I think Raikkonen ended up being third or something like that. I can't remember what the rest of them, but yeah, it was Barrichello's last win. So
wow.
yeah, that was amazing. For our first F1 experience, yeah, that was really cool. And yeah, so again, based around Schumacher, the 2011 Spa race. He's been in for a year. Myself and my other mate, who's F1 mad as well. He's been to Abu Dhabi like 3 or 4 times. He's
Good
been to
Lord.
all different races, and we decided like let's just go for Spa, classic Spa.
Yep.
And we get to see Schumacher as well. So yeah, we did a 4-day trip. So we got tickets for the 4 days. So you got the practice in. You got like you got the F3 races. You got the Porsche Super Cups. Races
the whole
beforehand.
weekend is
the
just
whole shebang. Yeah.
Yep.
The only problem we did run into was that trying to book somewhere for like a hotel close to the track was impossible because it is a countryside kind of area. So even like Liège is quite far away; it's like an hour away. So I did find somewhere like a Airbnb, but I don't know. Like I had emails through the guy like that was talking to, and it felt very dodgy. Like the way he was talking. You wanted money. I don't know. It just didn't seem right. So again, we had to cancel that. So then we had to look for somewhere, and I found somewhere like a bed and breakfast. And I didn't actually realize how far away it was from the track, and I think it was like 70 kilometers away from the track.
What is that? Do you know what that is in miles?
I don't know. I think it's like 50 miles.
Golly, it's like an hour drive, probably.
Yeah, so we went into Liège. I went into Brussels, and then from Brussels we got a train to Liège, and then from Liège there was like another train we had to get to the place. But like I had the address written down, I still didn't know what the name of the town was really, And then we got lost, and we ended up on the end of the line, which is close to like I think it's like the Luxembourg border. And we were like, is this the town? Like, is this right? And it's just like 2 Irish like idiots like going around with a backpack, like and looking for a place. And we were worried that like if it's any later, like they'll cancel our reservation because we're not there, right? So we're just panicking going around, and then we're going up this hill. It's pissing raining, and I'm like, oh fuck this! I'm just gonna ask somebody, like you don't speak our language or like English, but we'll just try because I've got the address like written down in like a notebook. And so I go into this garden, right? I open this gate and I go in, and then it's this like giant house. I knock on the door and I hear it's like 4 dogs barking inside. I'm like, oh for fuck's sake!
Oh man, like of all houses.
My mate's just waiting outside the gate, and the guy opens the door, and he's got like probably like a skin condition or something like that. Like his face is kind of like it's like cream all over. It's just kind of mad, and then. He's like, he's speaking like in Flemish or yeah, something like that. And then I'm like, oh, do you know where this is and all that? And he's like, oh yeah, like train that way or something like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm get the fuck out of here. So you go back in the train again, and we're going to go back to Liège. And then I spotted like on the side of a house, like the town name, and it's only like LU is and like a like a line on top of the U.
Yeah.
And that's the name of it. That's the name of the village. I'm like, that must be it. That must be it because it says LU. But I thought LU was like BC or AB for like Alberta or BC.
Yeah, like an abbreviation, not the actual. Yeah,
not the actual town. So
exactly.
We found there. We got there. It was all good. But then, so every morning we had to wake up at like 4 a.m. they get 3 trains, right? We had to get 3 trains to Spa and then 3 trains back every night. And on my Facebook, you can I've recorded like us at the train station at that early and stuff. But one of the worst things is that during that time, you're just exhausted because you're there all day, you're getting up all morning, you're having a few beers, whatever, and there's so many great merchandise shops around Spa, and there was one where it's a classic F1, so you go in, and I got like a Jordan like F1 from like 2000, let's say, like a shirt.
Oh,
I found like a Suzuki Rizla motorbike, like the light blue one, like a top,
yeah.
and I actually got like Schumacher's hat as well, one of them. So I had that in a bag. Got the train, and the second train, I kind of kind of dozed off, whatever. But I had it like on my seat here,
Hmm.
and then my mate woke me up. I'm like, oh shit, let's go. Left the bag in the train. So this cost me two. So this I should have 2 hats, but this cost me double. So
What?
yeah. So I left that behind. So somebody in Belgium
Oh,
has a nice set. Um,
oh
but the
man.
but the race itself it was great. You can see we were at the Camel Straight, so you can see the pits from our view because we're on top of the hill. So we're standing like on the angle,
Hmm.
and it was raining on our side, and then it was dry on their side, and then
Hmm.
vice versa. And Schumacher had one of his best races as well. He had a problem qualifying; his tire like fell off, and he qualified 18th, but then he finished 5th. And we got into the track, so then we walked down towards Eau Rouge, and then got pictures there, and we started going. We started getting pictures there, and we started went towards the finish line and got another picture with lying down on the finish line. So,
Dude,
but yeah, it was really, really
that's
amazing.
awesome. And what was I gonna say about that? Yeah, what year was that? You said 2013?
2011.
Oh, 2011. Okay, so that would have been. I might have watched that race actually, because the first race I saw was Valencia 2010. So
Yeah,
I might have seen that one.
it was Hamilton crashed again, and it was with Kobayashi down that straight, and it just passed us, and we could hear like we have a TV, like a giant TV
Yeah.
across the way from us, and then Kobayashi and then Hamilton kind of came across, and then he hit the barrier, and then was out of the race. A lot of cheers
Wow.
and stuff, and then so I was hoping Montreal would be the hat trick where he crashes again.
I know, man.
We actually won the race. He
Oh,
won the race that year.
yeah.
So
That, bro, I would just tell you to go to every race possible, man. Just like go to follow the whole season, dude. Get someone else the World Drivers Championship. That's sick, though. Apparently, I've heard a lot of stuff about Spa that the parking, first off, is horrendous, which I guess, you took the train anyways, but it's just very hard to get around that track. Like a lot of walking, a lot of.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of mad. Like when you get off the train, then you're walking for like a half an hour, and then it funnels into an area. The what's the La Source hairpin, the first turn.
Yeah.
Like if you go left and then you see that that little house, that little hut like on the left hand side, it's like white and brown, I think it is.
Are we looking at the first hairpin? Are you looking at it from like if you were outside the track or
if
inside?
you're like inside, if you're driving it and then you're going towards turn 1. Yeah.
Okay.
And then just to the left there, where the stand is right in your face.
Yeah.
That gap. So that's where the fans come from. So they have the gates, and that's where it opens from. And then you can come in, and then you go around. That's the main entrance.
Okay.
Yeah, there's other entrances around. Obviously, it's a huge track, but that's the main. That's the
main one.
Yeah, and then when we got there on Thursday, Thursday was just for drivers to come out from their pit stalls, and they have an autograph session and photographs and all that. So it's just pit lane, and we got there, and and I only brought my pass for that Thursday, but you're supposed to bring all your passes for every day because it's only if you bought the 4-day special, for the whole weekend that you'd be able to. So my mate brought his 4, but I brought my 1 just because it's Thursday, because it is Thursday, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy stops me, the steward stops me, and he's like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, where's your rest of your passes? I'm like, what? This is fucking Thursday. Like,
yeah, why
Thursday,
would they need all of them?
Yeah. Because again, like you're supposed to buy that for them as a pack, and that's what the deal is. That on a Thursday, you get to go to have the autograph session with the drivers or photographs. So yeah, it's my fault with that. And then so I kind of like bundled my way in, and a lot of people. It was kind of raining on and off, and then a lot of people had their umbrellas, and you're not allowed to bring like water or umbrellas in when you're meeting the drivers because maybe you have something in the water bottle, and so I had like I had a
Rookie
liter
like
bottle.
Hamilton or something. Like,
Yeah. So there's a guy with like like a little wheelbarrow trolley, and he's got like 1,000 umbrellas in it, and I'm pretty sure they'll just sell it like the next day on Friday or Saturday, like
yeah.
€5 or whatever. And then there's people like downing their bottles, like 1 liter bottle of water because they can't get anything in and stuff. So that was kind
Oh
of
my
mad. But
gosh.
the track, yeah. So you go on the left hand side beside that La Source hairpin, where you go downhill. So that side is where all the merchandise is, and then there's a tunnel underneath Eau Rouge, so you can actually hear the cars from above you.
Oh man.
And then you're in the forest, and that's how you get to the other side, like where the no-name corner is and
No
stuff.
name.
So,
That is.
and all you can smell is like the waffles and the beer in the air, and yeah, it's an amazing time.
That is so
Definitely.
cool.
Spa was that. I would love to go to Spa again.
So spa. So the way you get to like the infield, quote unquote, is you have to go underneath Eau Rouge, pretty much.
Yeah,
And
but you can also just take different roads to go from the other end. But if you came in from that source airport, that's the only way you can get there. Kind of, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. That's crazy.
Yeah. So we had like a general admission, so we could go anywhere. And I was thinking maybe the last chicane would be nice for overtakes, but we just decided to go for the Camel Straight because you get to see at full power, and you kind of get to see the end of the chicane. So walking there, they took a long time because you're going through the forest, and then you're on the hill, like going towards Pitwall corner. Man. So then you have to go up that hill to the left, to the right, and there's crowds all the way around. You're trying to there's like narrow areas, you're trying to get through.
So is it truly like you're in the woods, like just a little trail that just like is just like a ragtag little?
Yeah. It's like somebody just like poured, concrete for a track and then tarmac and then, around a huge forest. That's basically what it is. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I feel like people unless you've been to a track, you can't really explain the true size of tracks. It just, it's crazy to me. I mean, at least going to Coda, these tracks are huge. Like they really are. And I feel like they seem so much smaller when you drive on them in like Sims because you're driving something quick. But I remember, walking down the front stretch, at least at Coda, that's like a solid, to me, like 3-minute walk, 5-minute walk to go down like the whole front stretch, let alone the track.
It might seem like a lot quicker because when you're like in iRacing, you're driving that track and you're going like 150 down the straight, whatever. But actual time, it's going to take a long time to walk that, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, and those people who do the track walks, the F1 drivers every weekend, I mean, surely at Spa, they probably have like a cart to take them down the straights. Cause
bicycle or something.
A bicycle, or like those little like scooters, that you see Hamilton zooming around in the paddock and stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool, though.
Trying to drop them, yeah.
As you can tell, to people listening or watching, the Hamilton, we're not the biggest Hamilton fans, and you've actually mentioned to me as well, because I remember we watched Suzuka last year together on Discord, and you were you were imitating Crofty. You're not a fan of Crofty either, as a.
No, I think he kind of I don't know. It just makes these like metaphors and simulations from nowhere, just picks them out of the sky and then tries to make it, like equal or like everything's towards that driver. So, Roman Grosjean's French. So like, oh yeah, I had a French onion soup last night, but is Grosjean hot enough for this race? And just kind of pulls that together. I don't know, something like that. He just, yeah. And I think Martin Brundle as well, like when he first came into like commentating, so his first season was 97, and then I started watching F1 since like 98 was my 97, 98 was my first proper watching it. I was 9 then. So what he could give in insight to F1 was a lot to the viewer. Like because he just retired, he could like tell you exactly what's going on. Nowadays, he's like out of the scene for about 25 years now, and it's kind of hard, obviously, because he doesn't actually have the feel of the car anymore. He might do those test sessions for the TV or whatever, and I feel like his I don't know, his mojo's kind of waned a bit. I think he's doing it too long, and I would rather maybe retire as well. Because that's why I feel he was honestly from 97 to like 2008, 2009. before when it changed over to the BBC back home. He was like one of the best commentators, honestly, like any sport around, that you just knew the insight, you knew it. He was passionate, you can hear it in his voice. But now, the last few years, you can hear it with like Crofty. Just like I don't know, he kind of puts it on now, trying to put that
Yeah,
energy on.
it's like not authentic anymore. It seems like he's really trying.
That's what it feels like to me. So,
I definitely can see that. I think they need, if you could replace the booth right now, who would you put it in with?
Do you know what, I like, from the Sky Sports like area, I would like to put in like Karun Chandok. I think he's very insightful. I think he
I agree.
Really like put his point across very nicely as well. He's not too far retired from F1, so he kind of knows what the inside scoop is. Great personality as well, and I like Anthony Davidson as well. I think he's really insightful as well, and two of them might be a good combo.
I think that would be good as well. Or Paul DeResta. I think he would be decent. I think Shandok was fantastic though. He just, was he there all last season, or was it only towards the I felt like he wasn't there every race, was he?
No, I don't think so.
It was just 10 maybe throughout the season last year or whatever, but he was so good. I don't even know if he was, surely I hope he was scheduled to be back this season, but I wouldn't mind as well maybe like Jolyon Palmer. I don't know if he has the caster mentality though, but definitely obviously the YouTube videos that I'm sure you've seen.
Yeah, he's very good. He's very good at dissecting every race, and I think he's a better analyst than a driver for sure.
Oh, definitely. I think he'll even admit that. It just, it everyone has talents, and obviously Jolyon's is not in the car, but I think his analysis are fantastic.
His dad was the same. His dad was a driver, an F1 driver, not very successful, and he was a decent co-commentator with Murray Walker before Martin Brundle came in. So,
yeah, I think and Martin himself wasn't really that successful either, was he?
Sports cars. I think he's a world sports car champion with Jaguar back in like the late 80s, early 90s,
okay.
and but F1 wise, I think he had like 150 races and no wins, but a good few podiums. And I think he's a bit unlucky as well because the '94 McLaren that he got, that's a big jump for him. Because I think he was in he's always in a Ligier and a Tyrrell and all these kind of backmarker cars that he couldn't really do anything with. And he's with Michael Schumacher obviously in '92 and for the Benetton, so that's probably his best chance that he could win a race in his car. But the '94 McLaren, the engine, the Peugeot engine, was the pile of shit. I think the famous one you see on YouTube, the big crashes or explosions, and one of them is like where Brundle on the Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix in '94, where the engine explodes as soon as he takes off.
Oh, yes. I've
so
seen
that's
that.
him. So he's a bit unlucky in that sense. I think in other series he's pretty good. He's I think he did Le Mans for 4 or 5 years, and I think he came second again. But yeah, overall, I think 150 races. You can say the same for Nick Heidfeld. He's got a lot of.
Heidfeld. Yep, he was one of. He was actually. I really liked Heidfeld.
Solid driver.
Yeah, he raced. I remember when I was first getting into F1. I had an F1. It was F1 2006 Championship Edition or something like that, or I don't remember. I always got Rosberg and Heidfeld confused all the time, and I think it was because they
They're German.
They both and their cars were both blue and white, I'm pretty sure, just for different teams. At the time. But I just remember getting them always confused. But yeah, Heidfeld was really good. The David Croft, he has no what's his history? Because I don't even know.
I believe he was on BBC radio. So a big fan favorite for the UK is listening to 5 Live radio, and they commentate the race. So if you're in the car driving, wherever, you can hear the race through the radio, and he was one of the main commentators. But other than that, that's all I know about him. I don't know if he raced before. I don't know, other than
Okay,
that.
so
That's where, yeah, so that's where he got his commentary style from, and that might be it, because if he's commentating on radio, you're not watching the race, right? So you need to be excited. You need to be over the top. You need to
yeah, to
translate
like,
that from radio
yeah, that
to the
makes
listener.
perfect sense.
Because if you don't have your eyes to watch the race, then all you have is your ears, and you're listening to Crofts have to go and going crazy and explain everything to you. Then yeah, that might make sense now, actually, to
Have
why
him
he's
in
like,
there. Well, for me, David Croft, I personally like the hype he brings at the beginning of the race and stuff. The thing though, I have the same complaint as you. I think it's just just random tangents that he just goes off on. Just
yeah.
That just is like so irrelevant to everything.
There's no need for it at all. Like, there's no need.
It's like either just be quiet so you can hear the cars just pure racing, or have some sort of analysis or some sort of something. But yeah, it's just, I remember, and I didn't really realize how much it happened until we watched that race together, and you were just, oh my gosh, like again, like just shut up, Crofty, like I was like, geez, man. I mean, he makes these every like 5-10 laps.
Yeah,
it's like crazy, 15 times a race.
Like, you're not, like, no one's gonna be Murray Walker, and that's what Murray used to do that as well. But his own like charm, his own charisma came through. But Crofty doesn't have that, and it just kind of ruins it for me. But
it's, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see, I guess. The drivers who are retiring, or kind of like this older generation now who are going to be retiring, like the Vettels, Hamiltons, Raikkonen, that sort of era. I'm curious to see what they end up doing in the future. Are they maybe like, who are the next casters? Maybe I definitely don't see Vettel doing that, obviously.
No, I think he's a real private person. I think he just rather be at home.
I think as soon as Vettel's done with racing, he's just gonna basically ghost the world and just just go. But yeah,
I think Hamilton, I don't see him. I just see him like maybe being like a David Beckham type.
Just same. Like model and fashion stuff like that. Yep, I agree with that. And Raikkonen most definitely not. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
He would just do his own thing.
Yeah, he would just he wouldn't be like. I'm wondering, like, I feel like on the grid, if we're just now excluding just including everybody, I think I feel like Hulkenberg wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah,
I think he's a little too quiet spoken though to take on that role. Maybe a little. I don't know, but someone like that. I could see Max maybe hopping in once doing like it, or Ricardo. I think Ricardo, of course, would be.
Yeah, I think Cole Breaker said in the chat there. Ricardo, yeah, he's got the energy for it. He'll be good for it. I think, yeah. And it's quite spoiled. Like, I think he's like 33 now or something. He's quite old now, isn't he?
Yeah, Ricardo. I mean, kind of weird. It's kind of crazy. I think Ricardo's first season was 2011. Was it 11?
Yeah, it was a HRT. Yeah, his first race.
What? He was? I didn't even know he was an HRT.
Yeah, because he just
was he a sub or something?
Yeah, I think he subbed in for somebody because obviously Red Bull wanted him ready, and then his British Grand Prix was his first one, I believe. His first one, yeah.
Goodness me. Yeah, HRT. That's a team I try to forget about. That was probably one of the worst teams I've ever seen in F1 since I've started. I mean, it just was abysmal.
Yeah, I think that the three of them, like the Caterham, or the Lotus, whatever Lotus you want to say, and the Virgin car. That's where F1 needs to say, listen, these three cars are just way off the pace.
Like, just put them out of their misery.
Kind of like there must be like 100%, a 7% rule in qualifying. It needs to be like 104% maybe. I don't know.
It's just like, I just feel bad.
It's a lot of professionalism now in F1, where it used to be back in the 80s, 90s, and it's like you get these teams that are like 14 seconds off the pace, yet they'll still make the grid, and they've been lapped 8 times and all that. I mean, don't want to see that anymore. And it's taking up other spots where other teams can come in, other manufacturers can come in, and do a better job. But yeah, that was a bad show. Like with those three cars. So
It was abysmal. Their liveries are terrible too. It's like I just
yeah,
remember like a gray. It was like a battleship or like just a
yeah. The
boring
HRT
gray.
had like the white, and then I had like a Finnish like a Finnish flag in the back. Like so like a fur like a black and white flag, like kind of like the back of the exhaust pipe, I think. But like it's pointless because they're never going to see the flag at the end anyway.
Oh man, that's rough. And then oh yes, I
And
remember
the red at the back.
they had they had one that was like white, red, and gold. That was one that I remember.
The
What?
first car was like a grayish, blackish kind of type, and Bruno Senna was in it as well. And there's actually I remember watching, that was one of the first races where obviously it was Schumacher's comeback, so that was like Bahrain 2010, and it
Oh,
was Senna's first race as well, going back. And I remember it was either in qualifying or the race, and he pulled off, and then the camera got a real close-up shot, and he took his helmet visor up, and it honestly looked like Senna. It honestly looked like Ayrton Senna.
really?
It was so eerie. And then even Martin Brundle said it on commentary. He said, like, it gives me the creeps, like the way
What
that
year was
the way it
that?
looked. So that was 2010. It was their first race, Senna's first race. I
Okay.
think it was Bahrain, yeah. And yeah, but even if he's in the garage or something like that, and he's just sitting in the car, and all you see is the eyes, he's got Ayrton Senna's
It's
eyes for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the HRT, I remember that. I thought the Caterham was actually a really nice look. Caterham of all the three like trash teams at that time, I
Mm.
think Caterham was my favorite.
Yeah, that British racing green is really
Oh my
nice. Like the
word.
Jaguar, like back in the day, had that green as well. It's really, really nice,
It
sharp
looked
green.
it was absolutely fantastic. I remember doing like F1 2010 career modes. I'd always choose Caterham.
Mm.
Or if I was to choose one of the worst or off teams, but
And when Aston Martin come back to F1 next year, like I'm just thinking of like livery colors that they might use, and if you think about Aston Martin, it's either that green or the silver, like you see on the road, and if you join those two colors together, I think that'll make a really nice livery, like a
that'd be
green silver.
fantastic. Yeah, I could definitely see that. We really need a green car on the grid. I mean, it's
Hmm.
been Caterham. Yeah, it was. I think Caterham was the last time we had a green car on the grid, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yeah,
Unless I'm.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
I don't
the
think.
chat might say different, but I'm pretty sure
I'm
it
pretty
is. Yeah.
sure it was. Yeah. Wait, what you were talking a little bit ago about like back in like the 80s and stuff. You could be 15 seconds off the pace and still make the grid. That
Mm.
reminds me of when I remember watching some old broadcasts and like there were so many cars that were out of the race. You'd have like
Yeah.
half the grid that would either have like there was a lot more reliability issues,
Hmm.
incidents. I feel like reliability has gotten so good over the last couple decades that
Yeah.
it's just insane looking back at the 80s.
And that's where you look at like two things where they needed to change the points for each race, or for from 1 to 6. Now it's places 1 to 10, because the reliability is so good now that it's very difficult to uh, to get points. If you're trying to finish sixth when the grid is like 20 cars and only like maybe one or two will drop out instead
Hmm.
of like 10 or 12 back in the day. So
Oh yeah.
that was one thing. And then and now with records, like Hamilton's win record, in the 80s, almost getting to Schumacher's, and nowadays, with his car, like when's the last time he broke down? Like the Malaysia
Malaysia.
race, yeah,
Oh
4 years
no.
ago.
I think Austria last year.
Okay, so Austria, and then would you
But
say like
before
Malaysia was
then
one of
I
the
would say
yeah.
Malaysia, yeah. Like
And
it
then the
was
Germany race was a bit of a, he crashed to the wall.
that's different.
Stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
so if he's in that car, it's almost bulletproof. And then he's the best car on the grid. He's a really talented driver. He's gonna definitely get the win record. And a lot of people, like old people, say like, yeah, you can't compare records. You can't compare Schumacher to Senna. You can't compare Prost to like Fangio back in the day and all that. And now I can see why, where you can't really compare Hamilton to Schumacher for me, because the cars are so different. Okay, Schumacher's second career, I'm discarding that, but when he is 91 to 2006, those cars in like 91, 92, 93, he was in the Benetton. It was the third best car in the grid. Hamilton comes in straight away in 2007 with the best car in the grid. You know, I think I don't know, it skews it for me, the wins and all that. But
A good point. I never thought about that. Like, you're right because Well, okay. So how long? Well, yeah. Let's forget Shumi's second win or whatever. Let's just focus on his first like career, I guess. How long he was in F1 from? How long was he there,
91.
year wise?
15 years.
15 years, and Hamilton has been there now for
13.
13. But Hamilton has had pretty much the best car for.
I would say so.
Not I wouldn't say the whole time because I will say the Red Bull era.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think he was. I think 2010. Yeah, it wasn't
13.
a great car. Yeah, 2009 wasn't even a good car either. Braun and Red Bull were definitely better.
So we subtract. Let's just think here. So I'm trying to figure out Schumi, like how many years Schumi had the best car and how many years Hamilton had the best car, just to see, because Schumi, how many years would you say Schumi had the best car or was dominant best car?
I say the 2001, 2002, 2003. I think it was level with Williams and McLaren that season. It was a really tight season, and reliability was probably better than Ferrari, so you can kind of count that. And in 2004, definitely was the best car. That's the only years I can think of, to be honest, that he had the best car.
Okay, so already then never mind. We don't even have to count Hamilton's.
Yeah, because if I could think back, his first. There's an interview with Irvine, and you should definitely look at it as well. And he's talking to like a German. It's like a podcast over Skype as well, and he's chatting about his days with Schumacher and how he's so good and the insights of that, and Schumacher in 2000. So Irvine went to Jaguar that year, and Barrichello came in for Irvine for Ferrari, and Irvine said like Schumacher came to him after the first qualifying or first race. He's like, man, you left at the wrong time. This car is such a beast, and he was finally able to challenge McLaren straight away rather than the last few years taking up until the summer to catch back up. So you can maybe count 2000 as well, but other than that, I don't see. He was always third on the grid back in the day, in the 90s, and got a couple of poles, but it's usually behind the McLarens or behind the Williams. And Damon Hill was world champion, Phil was world champion, and then Hakkinen too. They're all Adrian Newey cars. And if you think back between Schumacher's career, and so from Schumacher from 91 to his first championship year, so 94 until 2006. Every single year, it was either Schumacher won a title or Newey won a title, except for the Renault that Alonso won. So it's kind of incredible. It's kind of incredible to think about that, yeah. So, 96, you got the Williams, so that's Newey. 97, Williams, that's Newey. He went to McLaren in 98, so that's Newey for 2 years, so 98, 99. Then you have Schumacher 2000, 2004, and then you got 05 and 06 with Alonso. So.
Wow, I never even thought about that.
Yeah. And,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So if you compare that then to Hamilton, I mean, because Hamilton's had a dominant car from 2014 to, I mean, let's just say 2020, because then no regulation changes is still going to be just as quick. So that's
Steve said about one of his Benetons was the best at the time too. Maybe the 95 I think was good because they changed from Ford engines to Renault and they had the same engine as Williams. But the reason why Hill got sacked from Williams was because of that 95 season, and he should have kind of challenged Schumacher more in that season. And Frank Williams already made that decision at the end of that year to change him with Frentzen. And then halfway through the 96 season is when Hill found out that he was going to replace. So, maybe Steve was right. Yeah, maybe it was kind of equal 95 because the same engines, but but other than that, he's always. That's why I like him so much. Is that never give up, kind of always battling with a hard car, getting through. Hungary 98 where he had to make 3 pit stops to come back, and then you got last year where Hamilton and Hungary tried to catch back Verstappen up. Remember that time where he made an extra pit stop and he had the fresher tires?
That was
was that 2018 or was it 2019?
Which one? Where
it was where Hamilton was behind Verstappen.
Yeah, that was I think last year. I think that was 2019.
Yeah, he got the fresher tires and he was like 20, and then Verstappen was like 20 seconds ahead, and he
Yes,
caught up
yes. I
at the
think that
end.
was last year. Yeah.
I really think that's, and then I think Autosport and I think F1 channel itself kind of try to compare '98 that race with Schumacher's race in '98, and I don't think it's comparable at all. Like, it's uh, if you think about it, where Schumacher had to make those qualifying laps, on those groove tires, a car that's way less faster than the McLaren at that stage in Hungary, because Hungary is such a high downforce car. And then you got Hamilton in, the best car in the grid. You can't
Yeah.
deny that. But
Yeah,
and then yeah.
No, it just I agree. I mean, I think that Hamilton now encroaching. Well, actually, well, no, I guess not, because his contract was going to be over at the end of this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What if this season just doesn't happen and then he gets let go, just like never gets his chance, man? Could you imagine? That would be like.
I can see, when I was, when Schumacher, it was 06, and then he got replaced with Raikkonen, and then Alonso was a big rival back then for Schumacher and Hamilton. And I always didn't really like Alonso at all, until he went to Ferrari, and then I kind of seen a different side of where, like, I'm a Ferrari fan, so he's really passionate and kind of, I could just see a different side of him to racing him rather than. It's always like you don't like that guy until he's on your team,
Yeah,
it's
that I'm kind of the same way.
And I was saying from that, so that's what I find. So that what I can see is that maybe Hamilton goes to Ferrari with Vettel retires. I don't know, because what I was thinking, this year I'm pretty sure Hamilton would have won the title, so that'll make it 7, and then to beat Schumacher's title record, why not do it with Ferrari? And that'll be a perfect chance to 1-year contract, and
Just a quick.
Because would you say because you had the best car and stuff like that, would you say like to win it with a Ferrari would be more special than any other title?
Definitely.
I think it definitely would have been.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's yeah. I mean, if Hamilton were to move to Ferrari, that's pretty similar to, of course, what Vettel was doing. Trying to move to Ferrari as well to get, because it's just something. It's Ferrari. There's so much like prestige and like honor with Ferrari that it's like every driver wants to win the world championship with Ferrari, because that's just. That's even better than winning it just in general. It's.
I don't think there's anyone on the grid that wouldn't want to think about that. To drive for Ferrari and maybe they've been off the ball for they haven't won a title since 2007. A driver's title. They haven't won the constructors since 2008. So yeah, it's been a long time. But they still have that name. They still have the iconic badge. They still have that iconic red color and. Yeah, I think a lot of people will like that, and that's why I think with Hamilton, he's all about. I think he may not say the record's not mean. I think it means a lot to him, and he wants to leave that mark on F1. And obviously he wants to pursue other things, and that's fair enough. But what better way to imprint yourself into F1 where you're always going to get compared to Schumacher is why not try and beat Schumacher's 7 titles if he did win it this year, to go to Ferrari, with the same team that Ferrari made, that Schumacher made, good again, and maybe Hamilton will make Ferrari better again as well. So
make Ferrari great again,
and then just sign off on 8 titles. There you go. Thanks.
Just drop the mic and just dip. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. Something, yeah, and going back to like Schumacher and Hamilton, I know. Something I really liked, and obviously I didn't watch Schumacher during his like golden age, of course. But watching clips back and stuff, it's like you could really see his emotion and how much he really cared and how passionate he was for stuff. And I feel like with Hamilton, it's just much more. I don't really sense much emotion unless it's just him like complaining.
Yeah, that's fair. Like the only time I can hear him kind of emotion is that like he's complained to Bono about his tires again, and yet he wins the race by 20 seconds at the end. Oh, this is the wrong strategy. Why did you give me these tires for this stint? And then Bono's like, just keep your head down, whatever. And he's still complaining, and then he just wins the race. And then he say, oh yeah, it's a great call with my team. I was with them all the way. That kind of like mantra, like at the interviews. It's that's. There was radio back in the day where you could listen to that kind of stuff, but I think Hampton takes it a little bit too far. He's, but then you just call, if anyone goes against him, you just been called a hater. So
Yeah, and and when people always ask the journalists or whatever, like, how do you feel like knowing you could win like so and so, and then he's always like, like I just take it one race at a time. I just, I
yeah,
don't focus on that. It's like, just be honest. I mean, there's just no way no human could possibly not think about that, or it's just like truly, it's like he's a very hard person I feel to be able to relate to from just a human to human level. Like I feel like he is viewed as like so much higher, and with the things he says in the races and stuff, like he definitely promotes that as well. It's like, show your emotion, like just like Schumacher did, like get upset when you get out of the car, like freaking bum rush garages to like confront,
trying to kill somebody.
Just like show the emotion, like
I think the one thing you can think about with Hamilton is that he was like cocooned with McLaren since he was like 11 when he got signed up, and he was always going to race, with Ron Dennis, when he was going to be older. So his dad, was all those jobs he had to do to get Hamilton in the karts and keep that going, and then he ends up sacking his dad, his manager, because he was his manager, right? So, and then so throughout his whole career, his whole like teenage life as well, it's always been media kind of driven, presentable, and that might have an effect on when he's talking to the viewers, they might not feel that same rapport because he's been instructed that way, because that's all he knows is like the last 25 years or whatever is being like that,
it grows up with him. And I mean, I just need to like be clear, of course, just in general, I mean, Hamilton is no doubt, he is a talented driver. I think we can both agree. Like, obviously the car plays a very big factor, but I mean, he's still quicker than his teammate Valtteri pretty much all the time, and I mean they have the same car. And I mean he is I would say definitely he is one of the greats, definitely, just because of what he genuinely has accomplished. But I think we're more just talking about within those greats, is he the greatest of the great? Exactly. Yeah.
And people say like, oh yeah, he's got the best car, and that 07, 08, like his debut season, he was with Alonso, who's a double world champion in the same team, and straight off the bat, Hamilton just didn't give a shit, and it was like for me, even like because Schumacher retired, so then I had to still refer, like, so I like Massa and Raikkonen and all that, but to see the way Hamilton was like, that's amazing, the way he's able to just come in as a 23-year-old and just kind of bum rush Alonso, and really, I think he was on the podium every single race up until like Nürburgring, where that the famous race with the rain.
Oh yeah,
and
that one.
In the points, and he just consistent all the way, and he kind of deserved that championship. And McLaren let him down with the pit strategy, where they should have brought him in with his tires, on the canvas, and he got stuck in the gravel. And then his problems in Brazil. But that 07 season was amazing that he did. And then 08, he got that championship. But since he's been Mercedes, it's different, definitely different, Hamilton. And could you see him in could you see him in IndyCar? Probably not. Can you see him in anything like that?
I can't see him in, well, it makes me think of when he and Tony Stewart swapped maybe a NASCAR ride.
I've seen that, yeah.
Nah, I don't see him in any other. I mean, it's the same with like Vettel, probably more so for Vettel, actually. Like, I just don't see them doing anything other than F1. It's just, one of those things. But I don't know. It's a lot of good points brought up. And yeah, I mean, I think Hamilton definitely, I think a lot of it as well, and this is kind of me escaping my body to like look at myself from a third person perspective. And I think a lot of it, of course, is just getting tired of seeing the same person win, no matter what. It's just, I mean, even during Schumi's days, like, he had a bunch of haters too.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, it
and F1 did change the rules for the 2005 season because of Schumacher was winning all the time. Like during that 2000 to 2004, like that's his golden era. They changed the points system, so went from first to sixth to first to eight gets points to make it closer, and it did. No 03 was really close. He only won by 2 points from Raikkonen. They changed qualifying a couple of times as well. They changed, and then finally they changed in 05 to one tire for the whole race, and the Michelin tire was better for the whole race rather than the Bridgestone. That's why he only got that one win in that famous USA race. So yeah, and maybe that's what the FIA are doing now, is that they're changing the whole car, like the whole concept of the car, to get the pack to close that gap again, because like during testing it looked like it was going to be another Mercedes dominance season. So
yeah,
if like F1 comes back, in the summertime, let's say, it's going to be interesting, because now you've only got 13 races maybe left, 14 races left.
yeah, something
You don't
like
have
that.
that. You don't have that 20 races, right? So every point counts. Every mistake gets
Yeah,
gets
that's
bigger,
true.
because
Actually,
the gap is going to be closer. So that'll be interesting now to see that, and yeah, if it does happen.
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that's a good point, because like with Australia, traditionally, it's like, oh, it's the beginning of the season, a lot can happen. We'll just,
Yeah.
but it's like the first race of the season now, whatever it is, I don't know which one it is, of course, but like you can't just say like, oh, it's a long season ahead. I mean, you only have like you have like half the season. It's cut in half, so it's like every point truly will count, and I think that that's going to be pretty cool. I do think they need to, of course, close the gap between the cars, but at the same time, I have an unpopular opinion about it, but it's not that I like seeing the same cars dominate, but I like the Cinderella stories, like the Toro Rosso making it on the podium at Hockenheim, and then of course Interlagos, or like,
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I see it both ways, I definitely think it should be closer, but I don't want it to turn into maybe like an IndyCar thing where it's like everyone's, like spec, where it's just, I wouldn't want it to be like that,
I think another factor from the last 10 years is DRS.
Oh yeah.
And with the cars the last couple of years being wider, and a lot of, like, the DRS effect is so much more bigger.
Oh.
And like I don't know, it's a bit too much for me with the DRS now. Like, why not just, like, the slipstream should be enough to overtake, I think, and then if it's going to be an overtake, then try and overtake rather than just waiting for the DRS zone and then pressing the button, and then your car's 40 miles an hour faster than the other car.
It's crazy.
Like, getting this, from trying to get, if you're you had a bad qualifying session, you're down to 13th, no DRS, you have to fight to get through the pack. They may be slower, but you still have to overtake, and you can't rely on a DRS. You can't rely on KERS boost or whatever like that.
Oh,
so
that. They still have KERS?
No, you don't have the button to press it, I don't think.
I think it's still.
Well,
like,
I mean, it's still
like
automatic
now, though.
Automatic, yeah. You have it after a certain, certain braking power. But yeah, back in the day, when it first came in 09, and then some teams had it, some teams didn't, and that's how Ferrari won that Spa races, where the Force India was pretty good, on the straights, but it didn't have the KERS, and then Raikkonen was just pressed the KERS boost and got past them. So
I remember that, yeah. Not all teams had it.
So
jeez.
So yeah, DRS, because like overtaking for me now is like, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's like every single time. It's not
no
that special.
Skill.
But,
no skill.
Yeah, but if you took it away, and then you was like, wow, look at that overtake. You know what I mean? Like Alonso around Schumacher and 130R. Like I think it was in 2005 or something. Like, that's incredible. And that was no DRS. That was just pure skill. And yeah, it just doesn't feel like that way anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of the same kind of complaint I have about NASCAR. Maybe a little too, like, trying to fabricate cool events as opposed to letting it happen naturally.
Yeah.
Like if with NASCAR, the way they do it with the stages, try and bunch up the pack and like the playoffs and all, just this random just crap. It's just, it tries to create. They try too hard to create moments, and it's like everyone knows that it's not special because it seems fabricated. And
Yeah.
I think I definitely don't think F1 is like as close or as I don't think it's as bad as NASCAR in that sense, but I definitely think the DRS like is, I mean, obviously it is a way to create passing artificially, really, not a
Yeah.
natural.
What else is artificial? The sparks from the car. There's an aluminum block underneath the F1 car that sparks up, gives you sparks.
Is that really all artificial? Like
I'm pretty sure it is. Maybe the chat can say, but when I came out, like to for for nice pictures or on TV, it was like a titanium or an aluminum block underneath the car, and that's what the sparks come out rather than get away. But
goodness
someone
me.
said, Ming said in the chat there about Verstappen got a penalty for trying to do an overtake, and that's the thing as well. People know that the stewards are so stringent these days that if they do go for a pass and it doesn't work out, it's part of a racing incident. A few years ago. Now it's like, no, you're getting a penalty for it. No, that's a 5-second penalty. That's a 10-second penalty. That's a stop and go. That's a drive through. They're like, you have to think about it now when you're going for that pass. So that kind of like plays into their minds.
Yeah, and like the Vettel and Hamilton at Montreal last year, it's like with that rejoin or whatever considered unsafe. Like, man, that would have been some epic racing. Like, I mean, have Hamilton behind, Vettel makes a mistake and is trying his hardest to get back on the track to stay in front, and like it just like let them just race. It just because once. I'm pretty sure there wasn't a battle because Hamilton, I'm pretty sure, knew that Vettel was going to get a penalty. And so he just backed off. There was no point for. And at the end of the race, I think they called it. And because the decision was made before the race was over, right? The fives.
I believe so, yeah, because then that's when you see Vettel like grabbing the one
sign.
and changing around. Yeah,
that was cool. It's stuff like that I do like about like characters in F1, like that sort of stuff, like just showing their emotion.
Yeah,
this is really relatable or just really, really cool.
Yeah, because we're all human at the end of the day. We're not,
man, we're all the same.
Like the cars are robots basically, so we don't want to see them as robots.
No, definitely not. And it's really weird I feel like it's hard to describe, but whenever they're in their car driving around, it's hard to realize that they actually are the same people you see in the interviews in the car while they're racing. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's like some weird, seeing Hamilton or Vettel go around, it's like, it's them and whatever, but it's like, it seems so out of touch or so, it's like, it does look like almost like robots or something. It's
I don't know. Everyone's on a track, like everyone's on like a rails around the whole place.
And I mean, all you see are their helmets and stuff. Like you kind of get distance from like that. It's actually them in the cars, doing all this stuff. But it's pretty cool. We've been talking about F1 for a hot minute. That is crazy. Goodness me, we spent over an hour just talking about F1. You'll love to see it.
Yeah. Just one more thing. Just about F1, the engines. I know some commenting on the chat, and from the V6 turbos we have now, we had V8s before that, we had V10s, then we had V12s before that as well. And I remember the day where the V10s, the last one was in 2005, and like I was on like F1 forums, as a young lad, and people were complaining where they were changing from V10s to V8s. And it got so much like toxic about like like V8 sound shit now, in 2006, and the noise is never the same. And now we're getting the V6 and we're hearing these vacuums going around, and now people are like, oh, those V8s, if you see like F1 puts up a clip from like 2011, let's say, like Red Bull. Oh my god, the sound of those V8s are amazing. I'm like, hold on a second, you were saying like a few years ago they were shit, But because it's been changed again, you're like, oh, I want to reminisce to that V8 again. But
it's always like that, no matter what.
It is.
It's just part of nature, And then people, if we go to like V4s or something crazy, people are gonna look at these V6s and want that sound back. It's just, I mean, it just is the way of the road. It is what it is. But I wanted to actually bring up. This isn't really Well, actually, walk us through some of the stuff that you have on your wall there. Because I
Oh
see
yeah, so
for all the video people, if you're listening through audio, I guess you can kind of just you'll narrate Caolan what what we're looking
yeah,
at.
yeah. So right here is the Stanfield sign. Big Liverpool fan. And again, this season derailed with the coronavirus. They were finally going to get our league title in 30 years, but if might have to wait a bit longer. But yeah, Liverpool. My two brothers are Liverpool fans, and growing up, being a Liverpool fan, and I always try to go up every morning on the weekend. It's the time difference is 8 hours between here and GMT time, so sometimes I'm getting up at like 4:30 in the morning to watch them. 6 in the morning. That kind of dedication. I like to keep seeing them. So and then the two hats. So these are from Spa. So that's Schumacher's hat, and then this special edition one. I might show it to the camera here, and it's got like the 20 years logo on the back. So like Schumacher had his own stall for the anniversary. So it's kind of like it's 20 years since his debut from Spa. So 91 was his first debut race at Spa, and 2011 obviously was 20 years. So I got a lot of memorabilia for that as well. So um, yeah, that was a good, and especially when he had such a good race coming back through the grid was great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You've been a Liverpool fan for a while,
Oh, all my life, yeah, all my
all your
life, yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah.
That's
And
cool.
I don't think I was able to support anybody else. My brothers wouldn't have it, if I supported Man United or anyone else. So,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, and now I've got like nephews and nieces now, and they're Liverpool fans now. It's great to see, and now maybe they have it easy now because Liverpool back in the day were pretty shit, in the 90s and stuff when I was growing up, not as good as they are now, and now they might be getting the league, and he's only like 8 years old, like one of my nephews, and he's a big Liverpool fan. I have to wait till I'm 31 for Liverpool to win the league, and he has to wait, till he's 8 years old.
yeah. It's
it's
like so
like
lucky.
it's like hold on a second, mate. You might have another 20 years of to go through and bullshit like that. So
Yeah, like get upset about it. Be like, no, 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 you're waiting. Like
yeah,
change your favorite team right now, and then switch
yeah.
back after Liverpool wins.
So and then I do miss back home going to the pub to watch it with my friends. Like a 3 p.m. kind of match and a few drinks. But like over the internet's not bad now because I've got DAZN, which shows all the football, and through Discord I can get a couple of mates on to watch it with me. So we're basically kind of at the pub anyway. Do you know what I mean? We're all talking, we're watching the
Yeah,
same the same feed, and that's at least you can do that. So um, I haven't been to a Liverpool game since 2009, I think, and my first one was 98. 98 was my first one. My brother brought me over, so um, yeah, definitely. I think, and that's what's happening in the moment is where there's no sport on, right? And a lot of people, obviously, like going through life and thinking about what's been happening, these days. It does put everything's perspective, but it's okay to miss sport. To like life gets difficult for everybody, and sport is a way out for people, a lot of people, and
hmm.
right now we're not getting that, and it's more negative at the moment because of what's happening, and so it does maybe put that into perspective where sport does take over people's lives more than anything else, and I can definitely see that why it would, because what's better way to go through a working week or a sport or a school week. It might be in a crap week, but then you get to the weekend where you can see your F1, your football, your golf, or whatever else. And I'm pretty sure, like for me, and I'm missing out a lot, and trying to
Definitely.
keep my mental health sane. So I say a lot of people out there are feeling similar. So
No, I agree. It's yeah. I want them to come back. I can't imagine like because I've never been to a football match before in my entire life, but just the atmosphere and the just it's a lifestyle, really, isn't it? Like
yeah, it's just a cult following. It's even more so when I've been moved over here. I'm into hockey as well, ice hockey, and when you go to an ice hockey game, you mingle in with your away fans. There's no separation. But when you get to like a soccer game in England, like you better believe there'll be like a separate section for away fans and home supporters. And obviously, you might get a few family members that might have the same support the same or a different team. But in general, it can become that hatred against the other team, and yeah, it's definite cult following.
It's like a live by die by team sort of thing.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
live by the code, die by the code.
It's like you're not changing your team for anything. You're Liverpool to your dead, whatever kind of thing. So
that's cool though. To be fair, in the sense, of course, not with like the violence and stuff sometimes, but knowing that there's probably less kind of bandwagons or people who.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's obviously probably still bandwagons for like the casual footballers, but it's nice to be a club knowing that you'll always have the loyal supporters through thick and thin.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I think that makes the winning that much better if you've been through the thick of it.
For sure. Yeah.
It's like I've been here this whole time. Like I have not given up on them once. So like for you with Liverpool, obviously you've been through it when they were bad, and now you're through it when they're good, and it's like you deserve to feel the highs because you've been with the lows. So that's cool.
That's good. Yeah, I was gonna surprise my two brothers. I was gonna go back home around this time because around this time we should be winning the league. Like we just needed 2 more wins, and I was gonna go for a few weeks for a surprise visit. So I really wanted to be the 3 of us together to finally win it. But it's funny because my brother, my oldest brother, he's 12 years older than me, so he's 43 now, and he was 12 when he won the last league. Liverpool won the last league in his lifetime, and he told me a story where he went to school the next day, and people were saying like, "Oh yeah, Liverpool won the league," and he's like, "Yeah, so what?" That's another, because we won it. Like that's 18 times we've won it. He's won it so many times through the 80s and stuff. So he was like, "Yeah, so we'll probably win it next year, whatever." And
man, there was never a next year until now.
Yeah, so it's a long waiting for people, but yeah, but like I said, like if people like a supporting Man United back in the 90s when they're successful, and now they're going through a bit of hardship with their their team where they're playing and stuff, and it's always it's a hope that kills you, and that's happening to a lot of people, is where you're hoping for better, you're hoping for that league title, you're hoping for for smaller clubs to avoid relegation and stuff like that. So we may not have all the same feelings in for success, or if you're trying to avoid failure, but in all, we're all football fans. We're all trying to enjoy the sport for what it is.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's. I've always liked the idea of like relegation and promotion and stuff. I think that's a really cool way to do things. I think more. I was thinking it would be kind of probably wouldn't work, but I thought it would be cool if they did something like that for F1 as well. Like the bottom like 2 teams go to F2, and then the top F2 teams move up to F1 and just get like an insane financial like boost so that they can make an F1 car. I don't know, something like that I think would be really cool.
But so if Ferrari had a really bad season and finished in the bottom 3 and then they get relegated, I don't know if they'll stand for that. They might have to put
that's true. The Tifosi would definitely not be happy when it comes to Monza. No, that's cool though about like the football stuff. Because I don't really follow it too closely. I have a good friend of mine who's a really big Tottenham fan, Tottenham Hotspurs, and he talks to me quite a bit about it. I don't know how Tottenham. I think they were like 5th or something, or 6th or 7th, something like that. But
this season, around that, yeah,
something like that. But yeah, he's been a big fan since I think like 2015 or something like that. But I know just a little bit, of course, playing Football Manager. That, oh my word, that game.
That's so one game. That's one game where that just eats your time and eats your life.
Oh my word! You told me once, you're like, I cannot play that game. Otherwise, if I do, I'll literally like not do anything else.
I'm not doing anything. I won't be playing iRacing or anything because a few years ago I had some time off between work, and I was like, I'll download Football Manager. I think it was like Football Manager 18 or 17, and I picked club and I just got so into it, and like the sun's out, and then all of a sudden you've only done like 3 friendlies, and you've only got a few transfers, and then it's nighttime. Like, what the fuck? So it takes your time. It definitely does, and it's crazy how in depth it is, and so it's I try to handle it with kid gloves. I can't
Yeah,
It's my kryptonite, really is, because I really want to concentrate on iRacing.
yeah,
So,
exactly. You
yeah.
play Football Manager, it's like the Achilles heel. Just
Mm.
we get sucked in. Yeah,
It's and these days there's so much like info and extra things you can do in Football Manager where in previous versions you couldn't, and it's just a simple game where you've got injuries, transfers, boom, you play a game. But now you've got other like news coming in, and oh, I have to do this first, I have to do this first, and
yeah,
then
like
before playing game,
interviews and
yeah, it's just
the
goes on training,
physios.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
training. Yeah, physios. Like, there's so
you know,
much stuff, man. It's crazy. I love it though. And if it wasn't for Football Manager, I wouldn't know much about
mm,
football, to be honest with you, or as much about it. I wouldn't know the standings, um, any of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's cool, and it's cool to. Football is a sport that I really want to continue to get into, but it is very difficult, of course, now with nothing happening. So
yeah, yeah. And then like hockey would be, I'll definitely be more into hockey as well. Like it's my second favorite with F1. And the sort of team. So Edmonton Oilers is my hockey team, and the reason I've been a fan was I bought NHL like 2005 back in Ireland. I don't know how the game store stocked that because no one else plays ice hockey over there. But I used to play it with my brother in like the old Mega Drive, which is Sega Saturn, I think it's called, like back in the day. NHL '94 and stuff, and really enjoyed it. So I was like, oh, let's go back into hockey again. When I've got a few euro to spend, I'm gonna try and get back into it. So I put on, and I just chose a random team. I got the others, so I just picked them, and that's my team since then. And I've done the same with NFL. Like Cincinnati Bengals is my NFL team, and the reason for that is the Simpsons episode where Homer's betting on sports, and he sees an ad for Miami versus Cincinnati, and call now for $4 a minute, and then you'll pick the right one ever. And he's on the phone for ages, and the guy's saying like Cincinnati, and just that's the reason why I picked them as well. So
really,
yeah, so those two teams, yeah, they're like Bengals had one of the worst seasons last season since I've been supporting them for 10 years now, and the others were in the playoffs. This season were pretty good this season, and I went to the last game I went to see the Edmonton was their playoffs in 2016, and I paid a bit extra to sit behind the bench. Playoffs, unbelievable atmosphere, one of the best I've been to, and watching McDavid and all the other superstars. And another thing where you don't see on TV is where I'm like right behind the bench, so I can hear and hear the players talking to each other. I can hear the coaches. I can see the coach's notepad and what's he writing down, and kind of that in-depth thing. It was nice to see that view of it as well.
that's awesome.
But we lost 6-3 that game, and I remember a puck went out and I hit the glass in front of us behind the bench, and the physio turned around and had the puck, and I'm looking at him, and then so he's like trying to give it to me, and then this girl comes up and grabs it, and so I'm like kind of have it, and then she's got her hand behind mine, and I swear to God, Jack, I was thinking, shit, I'm on TV now or something, like I'm gonna look like a dickhead on TV, so I had it right, and it just said like Edmonton Oilers like versus Ducks playoffs, the date on it. I'm like, holy
Oh,
shit!
dude.
And the girl was like sat right beside me, and I'm like, and then I was like, oh, I just have to give it to her. I just gave it to her because I didn't want that. I didn't think that camera was on me. Yeah, I just didn't want to do it. So yeah.
Oh,
And she's like, "Are you
dude.
sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, just take the fucking puck and just take it."
Yo, I
And I
would.
try to get yes,
Oh,
I try to get a different souvenir before the game, because beside it was like the entrance where the players come from the dressing room, so there was a like a staff member there, and I really put the Irish accent on tick. I'm like, oh look, I flew like 4,000 miles away from Ireland for my first game. Is there something you can give me like a towel or whatever for a thing? And she's like, oh, let me see what I can get. I'm like, oh yes, I want to get something really good here. She comes back with a fucking like stickers of like Oilers or something. It's like, yeah, that's great. Yeah,
oh
thanks
my,
very much for
that's the
that. Yeah,
most they could do. Some
that's
cheap
perfect.
stickers.
Yeah,
Yo, freaking
that's
hey,
great.
what are some other funny? What are some funny stories, man? Like, just in general, that like just funny stuff or just crazy moments.
Um,
Maybe
trying to
sporting
think of who.
related, like F1, maybe like a crazy moment at an F1 race, or like some like you were talking about how you lost the merchandise, or of course the hockey
Yeah.
puck, or just like
Um.
stuff like that.
Well, there's one from my neighborhood where I used to like playing pitch and putt, which is like a shortened version of a golf course. And if me and my mate we used to go all the time. And in my neighborhood is where you've got the houses, and then you got like a river, small one, but pretty deep enough. And then the golf course is on that other side. So we used to have to walk all the way around, and it take like 20 minutes to go up here, up the hill and stuff.
Yeah,
So we decided one day, let's just cut across it. It's
do it.
unkept, so it's weeds everywhere. There's like bushes and all. So let's try and cross it, because usually there's rocks we can just go across of. And to get there, we had to go through this other golf course, because this is a privately owned one, and we never went there. But to get to that other golf course, this is the shorter way to get there. So we're like, we've got our clubs with us, like our putter and our wedge. So let's just bring our stuff, and it looks like we're gonna play, whatever. So we're gonna get towards the river. So then you got like the putting greens and all that through there. So we're like almost there to the edge of that river, so we can get across. And these two old like 60-year-old players stop us. Because what are you doing? Because I think we're about like 14, 15 that stage. And then and he's like, sorry guys, what's going on here? Like, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden, Jack, I just started speaking German, because I was like doing German in school. It's like, oh, and I was like, oh, we're lost, in German on, and we're don't know our way around. And he's like, oh my god, yeah, you have to go out here, out to the car park, and then to the right here. And it's like, oh, bitte, yeah, danke schön. And then we walked off, and then we're just laughing our heads off all the way, like. So just to get in trouble.
Oh, dude, that is
Because
so
technically you're
funny.
trespassing on a private course, right? So
Yeah, but if you act like
that.
a foreign or something, they'll forgive you. It's like, oh, they don't know what they're doing, bro.
And so in my same friend, so for my 18th, it's like a nightclub, and there's a casino right beside it. And it's like, yeah, for 18th, let's go to the casino, and let's spend a bit of money, whatever. So we went in, and around 18, so it was 2007. So around that stage, there was a lot of Chinese like population in Ireland. Before the crash happened, the recession happened, and they all went home. And so it was a lot of obviously Chinese were gambling in the casino. So we went in playing Texas Hold'em, and there was like 8 of us, so 6 Chinese in the middle, like here, and then me and my friend were on the opposite end, so we can we were looking at each other. And then it was like €50 buy-in, no limit, playing for a while. And what was happening was that the Chinese were speaking to each other in their own language, and it was so obvious, even though I had a few drinks on me, but it was so obvious what was going on that like they were telling each other what hand they had.
Yeah.
So then whoever had the best hand can go up against us, right?
Well, no, yeah, they're just tag teaming.
And the dealer wasn't doing anything about it. So myself and my mate, we went to an all-Irish school, so we spoke Irish 5 days a week. All our subjects were in Irish except for the languages.
Yeah.
So we were just out of school by a year by then, so we still knew it. So what we're doing, we're speaking Irish to each other. So we started.
So Irish has, okay, I'm gonna sound really uneducated. Irish has its own language. That's not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Gaelic. Yeah, it's it's very I think only 10% of Ireland know it or speak it fluently.
Okay.
On the west coast of Ireland, there's a few spots where they only speak Irish, but it's the villages are very, very small.
Uh-huh.
My parents put myself and my other siblings to there's only a few Irish schools in our whole area, and I did my exams, and went through 12 years of school of through Irish. So
okay.
So we went. So we're speaking to each other in Irish, and then we're naming it I've ga Jack's Ogum and short or something, something like that, something easier to pronounce, and we're just speaking to each other, and we ended up getting triple our money, and the Chinese didn't know what was going on, they were didn't know what was going on, and they were just they just got out there packing, they were here's in there, a wad of cash and 50, they kept on playing, and we just kept on racking it up, and that was pretty good.
Dude, that's awesome.
It's probably the only time that Irish was
Irish came in handy, came helpful. That's crazy, man. Quick thinking on both occasions, in the river and at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Worked out well. Oh
just
man.
it's like something of a movie at time with the German thing. It's
Yeah, I
crazy.
know. I thought you were gonna say like you dropped your ball or something like mulligan or you like
Yeah,
hit the ball into the water. So I'm trying to find it like have all your clubs on your
yeah.
back.
Oh yeah, and where are you playing? Oh, yeah, it's that court over there, like 2 miles down the road. All right, you hit it that far. Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah. The steroids really. The steroids are really strong today.
I just hooked it left and
I just took the left. It just went. I don't know,
uh,
man. I thought it landed over here. No, that's funny. I guess for now, I think there's some questions before
yeah,
we maybe
let's
wrap
do it.
things up. We can run through some of these questions that viewers have left. Remember, if you are of course watching this live through twitch.tv/furtive live, you guys are able to redeem questions with channel points. So we're gonna be going through some of these questions and answering them. Or Caolan's, of course, mainly going to be answering them, and we'll get through that. So first question is from yes, Rockstar71, who asks, why do you like Liverpool? I think I'm getting sick as a Man U fan.
Listen, I had to go through Man United being successful and Liverpool not being successful for a while, so now it's your turn, Rockstar. But yeah, like I said, my two brothers were huge Liverpool fans, and I got my first jersey when I was like about 5, and I can remember it so vividly. And yeah, so that's how I've been a Liverpool fan. And but yeah, I've had some good times. We've won the Champions League twice. We've lost 2 finals. The league, we've been really close to winning it, and it's hurt a lot not winning those times. And like I said, like 30 years of waiting, it was going to be this year for sure. And yeah, I have to wait a bit longer again. So yeah,
Oh,
that's the reason why.
that sucks. Yeah, good question though. Sim Racing Dads asks, God bless, hi all. Do you think we will see Jimmy Johnson go into an open wheel car?
I think he might do IndyCar. Yeah, I think he might do IndyCar. I bet this. I think he's like trying it out with the race there yesterday, and I say his sponsors would like to see a bit more from Jimmy, and it might be like a different way from Tony Stewart, because Tony Stewart came from IndyCar or Champ Car, IndyCar to NASCAR, and he dominated there. So it might be a vice versa from Jimmy. Yeah.
That'd be crazy. Yeah. Jimmy, of course, so talented as well in the NASCAR
Mm.
scene. So definitely, that'd be very cool. Karen asks, what other genres of games do you play? How long have you been playing video games?
Oh, playing video games. Yeah, since being 6. We've had a Mega Drive. We've had a Nintendo 64. My brother actually owned that one, but he played it all the time. We used to play GoldenEye back in the
Oh
day.
yeah, I played that too.
Zelda, Ocarina of Time. And one of the early racing games I used to play was Top Gear Rally on the N64. That came out in
Okay.
'97, Christmas '97, and it was kind of like an arcadey style, but it was trying to be a sim as well. It didn't really work, but still quite fun to use. And it was the first time you can really customize your car,
Oh, that's
like
cool.
your paints and stuff and setups. And yeah, that was a good one. And then like in my channel, I've been streaming a bit of Grand Prix 3 and Grand Prix 2, Grand Prix 3. Was really my whole childhood. I think spending 100% races on that. With a keyboard or a joypad, I didn't really mind. Just wanted to play, and Grand Prix 2 came out in '96, and I played that for a few years. And I remember my brother came home one day. The PC was in his room, and he burst in. He had Grand Prix 3 in his hands, and then he just trying to install it. And I had to wait till the next day to play because he was on it. You know what I mean? I really wanted to
Oh,
play it, and then yeah, I just kept on. I played that for years and years, and even if like in 2002, let's say, like the cars were different, the drivers were different, I would still edit it, into different names and try to keep it on. So like the Tyrrell, was a BAR and Villeneuve, but it's actually still a Tyrrell on. I didn't have the skin for it or whatever, but yeah, I just used my imagination for
amazing.
that one. So
That's cool. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and you've been streaming that as well on your Twitch channel,
yeah, a bit
Amsteriga.
of that.
So that is cool. Good question, Karen. Codebreaker asks, any real life track experiences? So,
Unfortunately, not. Only some go karting back in the day, but I got a present for my 21st. It was like a single seater Formula Ford, up in towards Belfast, like up the north, so it's a couple of hours away. And I couldn't get the chance. Like I had a voucher for a year, so I couldn't get the chance at that moment to go, but I was like, I'll wait till the summer. So it's obviously it won't be raining in Ireland, but usually it does anyway. But
Yeah.
when I decided to book it was like 6 months later. I tried to book it. The place closed down, so they
Oh.
paid. So everyone, the whole family paid for that voucher, which cost a lot of money, and I didn't even get to spend it. So
Oh
yeah,
man.
that was a bit bad. So
Oh, bro, you gotten
yeah,
so unlucky, man. I feel like with stuff.
yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, there you go. So
yeah,
iRacing's the only closest thing I've been doing, and again, go karting. But
yeah, same. I'm pretty much exactly the same as you. Finn asks, last question: wings or pizza? Hot wings or pizza?
oh, they're my two favorite foods, and if I had to pick one, I would say wings.
Oh
Like wings,
yes,
hot
nice.
wings,
Yep.
ranch on the side, boom,
Oh man, beautiful.
all
I
the
would
way.
agree with you 100%. I think both are fantastic. I think both go
Yeah,
great together. I think I mean, it's just two peas in a pod, but I would have to go with wings as well. Just
and
better.
yeah, like Domino's, like over here in Canada, much different from Domino's back home. I think Domino's back home is way nicer. Like the cheese, like it's less like preservatives in it. And the Domino's fun fact is in my hometown, there's only like 200,000 people in my hometown, and the Domino's there was the busiest in the world at one
Really?
stage. Yeah, I got the record. Yeah, like in 2006, I think, and it was the first one to make $3 million in turnover. And honestly, the store was about the size of your room, Jack. So it's just a lot of
Good
tickets.
lord, that's awesome.
I don't know if that was me who bought a lot of those pizzas,
Yeah,
but I
man,
tell you,
you
every
probably
time
helped that
every time I
number.
go home, I always have a few during the week. So
Absolutely, and that store's still open.
it's still open, still going to this
That's
day. Yeah, and
awesome.
it's even like open till like 3 or 4 a.m. So then when people come from the nightclubs, they just go over and go for it. So
Good lord. Yeah, it's that's crazy. Well, thank you for the questions, guys. Caolan, it's been great to have you on. I think we talked about a lot of really cool stuff. Went into
yeah,
really good depth, I think, with F1 and Schumi, Hamilton, and just the different eras, backmarker cars, regulation, stuff like that. And of course, talked about football, hockey, video
yeah,
games. We talked about quite a bit. We talked about iRacing and the NASCAR thing at the very beginning.
mm-hmm.
How cool that is and stuff. So we definitely covered a lot of topics. Want to say, of course, to everybody, either watching this live. If you're watching this live, thank you so much. Caelan's of course been reading a few of the questions or a few of the things throughout the stream to be interactive and stuff with you guys, and of course you guys asking the questions. So thank you. If you're listening to this on Spotify, I'd like to say Spotify or SoundCloud, I'd like to say thank you for listening. And if you're of course watching this later on YouTube, I want to say as well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Caolan, are there any, I guess, maybe closing comments or thoughts or just feedback, any of that sort of stuff?
No, and I really enjoyed it, Jack. Thanks for having me on, and it's great reminiscing back to the old times of F1 and other things like that. Yeah, thanks to the chat for hanging out and listening to me, and also being, Jack's helped me a lot with my stream as well. So I think yesterday was the first time we all streamed together at the same time
That
for
was
an endurance
fun.
race, even on different teams, and that was fun with the multi-stream was going. So, so yeah, thanks for everybody hanging out and listening on Spotify.
Yep. Thank you, Caolan. Thank you once again, guys, everybody. I hope you all have a fantastic, day, morning, evening, whatever it may be. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and watching and listening. I will see all of you guys later. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you all.